In this video, I'll show you how to update your project with new data, merge datasets, join datasets using a common variable, and stack your data. The real magic of Displayer is how it allows you to update things with just a few clicks. For example, let's say you need to update all your analysis and reporting with a new wave of data. In older programs, you would need to do everything again. In Displayer, we can just swap the data file. And since everything is connected, Displayer will automatically update everything. Let's have a look at this burger brand tracking project with data from October. Note that 83% of respondents consumed a burger from Burger Chef in the past month. And has the best tasting food is at the top of the brand belief chart. I have a new wave of data available from December, so I'm going to update my report and corresponding analysis. To do this, I just swap the data file. Click on the dataset in the Datasets tree, and then click Update in the Object Inspector. Now, select your data file with the new data in it. Your data file needs to contain the same variables and codes for the update to work. If you have new or different variables or codes in your updated file, Displayer will alert you to any data differences. Displayer has now updated everything. The percentage of people who consumed a burger from Burger Chef in the past month has fallen to 78%, and has the best tasting food has fallen to second in the brand belief chart. Even more complicated analyses, like driver analysis and text categorization, will be automatically updated. Automatic updating means that when you refresh a document's underlying data, the entire document updates. This is a game changer for updating tracking study reports, syndicated reporting, or getting the jump on your workload before all the data is in. Sometimes you can't get a cumulative data file and have to merge files together yourself and create a new dataset. I'll walk you through an example of combining files together by case. Combining by case adds new rows of data to your dataset. Variable set names should be consistent across the files. If you have a variable in one file, but not in another, the values will be treated as missing for the rows that don't have data. Make sure that the IDs for each case are different, or you'll get an error due to overlapping or non-unique IDs. The first thing we need to do is upload our source SPSS datasets to the Displayer cloud drive. The Displayer cloud drive can be used as a central repository for data and other files. In this example, I'm going to merge 4 files together. Remember the names of these files, as we'll need to type them in later. And now I'll go back to my Documents page and open this document for this example. It doesn't contain any data. I'll search for the Merge tool using the search bar. Click Combine, Datasets, and By Case. Note, you can also merge by variable. In the Object Inspector, enter the file name for each dataset that needs to be combined. And then give the combined dataset a name. A summary of your combined files now appears. The black boxes show the matched variables. As you can see, so far we have matched variables for all 4 files. I'll keep scrolling. But, for some reason, Q60E is not in the 4th file that was loaded in for merging. This means that the variable wasn't present in the dataset, so missing values will be inserted for those respondents in the combined file. Displayer also uses color coding to alert to any differences across the files. In this example, the blue color is telling us that there are some differences in the variables. We can explore what's going on by expanding the variable set. Okay, we can now see that the variable label for age was changed in the 4th data file. It says, "How old are you?" and all the others say age. It looks okay to me since it still represents age, so I don't need to go back and change anything. The combined file is now saved as an SPSS file onto the Displayer Cloud Drive. And I can now load it into my project as a dataset with all 4 waves of data. Going forward, you can keep your single master file in the Displayer Cloud Drive and update each new wave using the steps in this video. You can cross-tab questions from 2 different data files by joining them together using a common variable. Note that for this to work, you need to have a common variable across both sets of data that tells Displayer how the observations relate to each other. For example, both files might be matched on record ID or email addresses. To show you how this works, I'll add another COLA dataset to this project that I have saved locally. You can see that both of my datasets have a unique identifier variable, which I can use as the common variable to join them. To join datasets, you need to create a data relationship between them. You can do this by selecting a dataset and then clicking on Edit Relationships from the Object Inspector. And then click New. And now I'll select the dataset's names and variable that I'll use to join them. Next, I need to select the appropriate relationship type. The relationship type tells Displayer how the common variables should be joined from left to right. For example, I'll select 1-to-1 because the unique identifier has only one unique record in each of my files. You can learn more about the different relationship types by hovering over the relationship type dropdown. And then I'll select how to handle cases or values that aren't found in both datasets here in Properties. I should have a one-to-one match in both of my files that I'm using here. So if I don't, I'd like Displayer to warn me. Otherwise, you could exclude cases that don't match or insert missing data. I like to click on the Diagnostics button next to see how things are lining up and make sure that things are looking as I expect them to. The Diagnostics window will tell me how many cases are in each file, along with how many were matched. If something doesn't look right, you'll get a warning here. Now that the datasets are combined, I can create some crosstabs that use data from each dataset. I'll drag the age variable from my combined COLA dataset onto the page, and then crosstab that by preferred COLA in the COLA tracking dataset. Stacking is a relatively common thing to do in the data preparation stage of the market research process. For example, you may have captured data for multiple occasions per respondent and want to analyze these all together. Or, you might want to unloop looped questions to show responses at a total market level. To undertake these tasks, you need stacked data, and Displayer makes data stacking easy. The first thing we need to do is upload our source data to the Displayer cloud drive. Now, let's stack our data. I'll use Search to help me find the stacking tool. I'll paste the name of my dataset here and give the new stacked dataset that will be created a name. And in a matter of seconds, it's done. Displayer has automatically identified all the variables that can be stacked. As an example, in the original data file, there is one variable for each brand by each meal occasion. These have now been condensed to one variable per meal. In these settings, I can fine-tune my stacked file and how it updates. For example, I can specify any other variables I want to force into the stacked file. I may want to profile results by age and gender. Let's upload our stacked file and take a look. I now have a total category view, independent of brand, and can look at this by age, gender, or any other variables I include in my stacked file. I've just shown you how the Displayer Cloud Drive can be used as a mechanism for super fast and super easy data stacking, a routine that would take a lot of time and promote scope for error when using other software programs, like cutting and pasting in Excel.